Welcome, guys. Now, in today's little video, we are going to finally revisit the weapon customization in Unity, and I am pleased to present it to show you guys that you can do customized weapons. Now, before we get started and everything else, I have many versions of this because we've got various versions of weapon customization. Now, before we get started and everything else, this is the run-of-the-mill, very basic version of it, where you will only change the skin of one component, okay? As in one, alright? I have ones that will change the skin of the sight, or we can expand it into every little bit and piece on the gun itself. Now, depending on how you texture your weapon, this will affect you in various different ways. Some people texture everything for our let's look at a gun, okay? A lot of people will texture everything from this back part all the way to basically everything, and sometimes even the mag, okay? But on this gun, the magazine is a different texture, and so is the little sight right here, okay? The sight is a different thing and a different texture entirely. Now, if you atlas something into crazy amounts or something, you can retexture the whole weapon. It wouldn't matter. This method does not change the normal map or anything of that sort. If you're smart in things, when you do your texturing and stuff, a lot of times when you paint stuff, you really don't change too much of the other stuff, like the normal mapping or anything like that, because it just doesn't do anything for you. So I only done the texture itself. Now, you can actually change this over to a material base if you wanted to give you more customization, but I wanted to give you a very basic rundown for it. Now, before we get too much into it, I'll show you what the basic version of this does, and then I will show you what a more advanced version does, okay? So let's go into our scene view here. And we're going to go look at the weapon. The weapon has a basic equipment component, okay? This only changes the skin right here. Now, I just put a junk texture in just to make it really bright so you can see it in the tutorial. All you have to do is have a different variation of your texture, okay? This is the basic version of it. This is what I'm going to teach you in this video. Now, the next few videos and things will be showing you how to do the other versions of it. I'm also going to show you how to do the custom button that I showed you seen right there. Now, this one is called body scope equipment. Okay, go out of debug. Okay, and this one we will be able to change our sight, but also the body texture. Okay. What? Oh. Okay, I've got to fill this stuff in. So this array right here, I need 2 of them because I've got 2 skins. Okay. So I filled the first one in with my iron sight and this one in for my thing. Very easy to do, very easy to work with. Okay. Now, next skin changes even the texture on the scope, okay? And it will do that. Now, when I hit next mag, it keeps the texture's little thing in memory on what you're at. I did this because I didn't want another function so your scope has a different texture on it. I didn't think that would be too relevant for too many projects, but it's very easy to make another function just for texturing and stuff. Okay, it's not hard. So the textures will be up to you how you texture and things, but this will give you a general way of doing this. Now, the weapon I'm using right here can be found on the asset store for free. I will link that in the description below for you. Secondly, let's go and take a look at the basic rundown version of this now. So let's go into debug here. And let's go and put the basic one back on. Basic. Basic. I don't want that. I want the basic. Grr. Grr. Start working. Bleh. Okay. So I have to put my scanning thing back on. Okay. And this will not be broken now, right? Broken? No? Right? Okay. So let's take us a nice little look. Not that stuff. This stuff. Okay. So for the weapon itself, okay, we have our equipment thing on the main transform, okay, and we got these variables. Pretty much, you don't have to worry about the mag one or the mag socket, but we have this gun socket, which we're kind of using, not really. Well, no, we're not actually using it at all, actually. Now I think about it, we can actually probably delete it. And let's see here. What can we actually do with that as well? Yeah. And then we have a gun. It's supposed to say gun skin index, but for some reason after guns, it puts a space. I don't know why. And this is a component that's called sender equipment set. And what this does is it has an array of our textures. It takes the transform of where our material is, and later on we might be changing this to a material because it might be better in the long run to get this material reference than anything else. But I'll leave that up to you guys. Our magazine, we could, change some stuff up, but this is just for the gun itself, which may be relevant to you. Okay, so we just put it in the gun skin slot. That's it. Gun skin slot, boom, there you go. Now the great thing about this is if this is null, okay, alright, in the sender HQ thing, you need it. If it's on this game object right here, you can just drag the game object in here and it will automatically get the component for you. Okay? It'll do most of that searchy stuff for you. Alright? Now the custom inspector is very easy to do, so we will not glaze over it too much. But we will look at the base class and everything for this. And the base class of this is very simple. Okay. And we got a namespace. Why do I have that namespace? I don't think I need that namespace there. Bloop. I don't think I use it for anything. So we go weapon equipment manager. It's a mono behavior. We have a mag reference, which you don't have to have this. We don't actually use it, but we do use this key. Okay, this key will be very, very important. Now we did a serializable field, but this must be a protected string. Okay, and I just put not for default value. We got a public initialize thing. It's virtual, so we can override it later. And the weapon component is a mono behavior that's on our actual weapon. We pass this reference in on our weapon script, on our weapon shooting script, okay? For weapon close, activate, set max. The only reason this function exists in this is to set the maximum amount that we can have in our magazine. Because later on, we're going to be swapping out magazines and stuff. So we actually need a function for that. But for the most part, it's pretty basic. Okay? You could probably glance over this function. I believe yes and no. Probably not. But I'll show you guys how to work it. Now we got to initialize scopes because anytime you're working with game objects in the editor and stuff, you actually have to initialize probably your other things. Because a lot of times when you're doing modeling stuff, the stuff is active. So if it's active, then before it gets instantiated into the world, we must get all the other ones deactivated because they're not useful. They're completely garbage to us. So we actually have to do something about it. And that's what the initialize scope does. It initializes the skins as well. But we won't be using this function in this tutorial. But we will be using next skin and initialize skin. Okay? These are all the functions that you need. And they're just virtual functions. Okay? Now this one is a protected virtual void array of sender EQ set. Okay? Which is our array. Now, before we get into this class, well, actually we kind of got to get in this class right now. So let's get into this class and see what this class is. This is a mono behavior. It doesn't have to be a mono. You can have it a regular class, but I found that it's a lot easier to drag these on because if you're swapping around the equipment manager, let's say you want to upgrade it where you can do scopes later on, then you have to reset all those variables again and your texture stuff is lost and it's kind of not intuitive. So I made it a component that you attach to the game object scope itself or your actual weapon. The actual weapon that you're going to change stuff for, everything just has a normal component. Okay? And we have a reference to a transform and a texture array. So basically this class does all the work for changing the textures around. Okay? Then we have a function that's called setMat that takes an integer. And if the transform is not null, we change the material. We actually get the material first from the mesh renderer. You just can't do get component material. Yeah, trust me. I tried. Doesn't work. You have to get the mesh renderer and then go dot material. Okay? Then we have this little crossed out thing. This don't worry about. Okay? This was an experiment that I was doing on stream. Did not go well. And then I go m.main material. So from our material thing, we're getting the main texture from it. And then we go into our array and go, hey, pull this texture out of this array. So if next mat is 1, 2, 0, 5, as long as it's not past the array, it will work. Okay? Which I was trying to make this where if this was above the array, then it would go to the normal texture. But it did not work well. I'll tell you that right now. For some reason, it did not go well. Which I can maybe get that to work later, but I don't know yet. I haven't decided how that works. But that's the sender EQ set class, and this must be serializable. Actually, I don't think it has to be system serializable anymore. No, because that would be taken care of by the mono behavior part of it. So, since we went through that and we are passing the array in when we're calling this function, all this does is it goes through and disables all the transforms in this array. That's all it does. So basically it's used for scopes, or later on if we use it for, let's say, a silencer, and you want the texture to match with the silencer real cool, then you could use this initial function. Or let's say you have different magazines that you're doing. Well, the magazines, obviously, you're going to have to turn off all of them in some point, and then turn the one that you want on. But this one is only for disabling everything. Okay? It doesn't care. As long as the transform is not null in that group, it will disable it. Okay? Mag. Oh, yeah, that's right. I really want to get rid of that function out of this. But apparently it's not going to like it. So, this takes care of our base class. Okay, so now we're going to go into the basic equipment component, the one you've seen. Okay, this is a public seal class of basic equipment component. Okay, and this inherits from weapon equipment manager. Okay, this gun slot we really don't need. It's actually useless. Yeah, it's actually useless. We don't even use it. Bloop, gone. Okay, so we need an integer to find out what skin we're on, which I don't have to have this serializable now since it works. But this array right here, this basic function, we need this to have a serializable field because I want this to stay private to it. I don't want to set this directly in another script or something weird. Okay, I want this script to have the control over that. Okay, so we have that, which you know what this is. It's this script right here. Okay, and I'll give you a second so you guys can like pause it and write it down or type it. But remember, all this is doing is a material thing. And you could always take this transform and make it a material. And make sure the material is not null and then go for it. Okay, this can be changed up quite a bit. Which it probably will sometime. But it works for now. And it's not an expensive get component anyway. Because it only happens like what, maybe 3-4 times in the whole game. So it's not something that you should have to worry about. Okay, mag slots, something you don't have to worry about. This call, not so worry about. Okay, we do this right here is to grab the values out of our actually, don't even worry about any of this right here. Any of this right here, don't even worry about. Okay? Don't even worry about these functions because later on we'll be tying this into our player that we're having right now, our main guy that's chilling out doing the gun stuff. All we care about right now is initializing everything. That's all this function needs to be called for. And what we do Why are we initializing the scopes in the basic one? Why don't we initialize skins? Yeah, let's initialize skins instead. Initialize skin. And that should still work just fine. Now, this is just pulling it from a save location and everything. That's the reason why I'm going to have that. This is setting a mag thing, which you guys really don't need right now. But here's another next initial skins doesn't increase this stuff. Okay, see, when we're doing this integer, we need to equal and do this operation right here. And like I figured out on stream, okay, do not do what I did and was bothered with how it works. Don't do this. This, even though it means +1, does not work. It does not work. You have to do this way, okay? Because what happens is it's kind of doing an order of operations. If you do a gun index ++, it does nothing because it's like math. If you did like it recognizes as a positive number instead of doing what programming would do of, upping it by 1. Okay, it just doesn't work. Okay, do this operation right here, index +1, and then this little curly Q thing. I think it's called the modulo. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Gun skins .current.length, because current is the array of the texture. Okay, so if this texture array reaches above the length, it will go automatically to 0. So every time we hit next, it goes up by 1. Then it initializes the skin, which initialize, all it does is it applies the texture inside there. If the gun skin transform is not null, okay, we're going in there going, hey, please do this if you can, and then boom. Now we could probably cut this check out, okay, because we're already doing it here. But in programming, it's always good to have sanity checks. This is just a very fast call. Okay, it's not something that's a really heavy operation anyway. We're going, hey, are you null? No, I'm not null. It's not like, hey, we got a plus, then divide, then multiply, and then clamp it between these two ranges. That would be a heavy operation. This, no. This set material thing, this isn't really a heavy operation. The setting of the texture isn't really that heavy unless you're doing it every single frame, and then you probably are going to see a problem. Now, just to be clear, if you go main texture and try to do a bool value, hey, if main texture equals this texture, not a good operation to do. It's not a get parameter or a set. It goes through and does some form of lookup. Very, very expensive. Don't do it. It's expensive, very, very bad. Don't do it. Okay? Unless you're doing it like one time in the entire thing of the game, then you could probably get away with it. But don't do it as a sanity check in some kind of loop, because it will turn all bad for you. So that's the initial. And we already know what this does. That was our base class. So this class is very simple. Now, you guys might not be used to this sealed thing right here, this keyword. This is so you can't inherit. You can't make a class that inherits from basic equipment. I want me, it's a sanity check. That's what it is, basically. If I wanted another class, I want to force myself to rewrite the whole entire thing instead of trying to add it on to this. Because we're already inheriting from this class. If I inherit again after this, it's a longer daisy chain that I'm not going to like. Because when I inherit from this, I inherit all this garbage. Okay? I may not want this. I may want this to be just for a scope or something of that nature. Don't want it because it's just harder to work with. Okay? So, I'm kind of sorry that this video has gone a little bit long, but as you can see, it's quite a I don't know how to say that word. Words are hard, man. Words are hard. But now we have this and everything, and you should be able to skin your own weapon with a single texture now. Now this, and I will say this component can be used in more than one way. This can be used in your runtime situation with your people that are, you know, running around and you go, hey, I want to open up a menu and change my gun skin like right in game, which makes no sense to me, but hey, if you want it, it's there. If you want to make this a scene, a single scene, like before your game starts and do that, then you can. Okay, it's very, very modular. Okay, this can be worked at runtime, at the game time, or, you know, in some type of customization screen. Okay, you can use it in both. All right, it's not restricted to some weird way. The only problem that you face in this kind of scripting is with your texturing guys and your 3D modeling people. Okay, if they do really, really good work, then you probably won't have an issue. If they do really, really poor work, as in they got 15 materials for one gun, then yeah, you're going to have issues. And you're going to have to customize these functions and find little tidbit ways to add on, but you still shouldn't have too much of an issue. Programming it will be a pain. That's why you get on your texture guys. Hey, you need to make all these like one freaking material, because this ain't gonna work, bro. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and like I said, later on, maybe in a couple days, I will be showing you guys how to add the scope one, and then we'll be adding on to this. So if this was too basic for you, please be patient. The other videos will be building on this, because we're going to do one for, you know, silencers and all that good stuff. And plus, we're going to have functionality in the game objects as well. So trust me, this is going to go a lot further than right here. So thanks. Like, hit subscribe. If you really enjoyed the video and all that, you know, smash the like button. Make YouTube pay us money, because obviously our videos don't make anything. So peace out, guys. And just a reminder, if you guys are ever online at 9 or 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on a Friday night, maybe, if Twitch allows me, I will be on stream. I have been streaming lately. So, as I say, the links are below. And thanks for watching. Peace.